Let's take a look at a few ways to make your steed feel fresh and new. Just the simplest changes to your setup can make your mountain bike feel like a brand new beast.
Yeah, let's not forget that those setup changes can actually give you more confidence on your bike and probably make you ride things a little bit differently out on the trails too.
So here's 5 steps on how to do just that. Our first tip is bar width. Now this one is really great and it makes an absolutely massive difference. There's a trend at the moment to go with very wide bars. Now if you feel like your bike could be updated in that way, then this is perfect. A wider bar is going to give you a lot more control, a lot more leverage. It's going to make the bike feel very intuitive.
Yeah, but let's not get too carried away with that. You don't want to go too wide. Now, the general rule of thumb is the taller you are, the wider your bar should be, but that's not always the case. Our EWS racer, Richie Rude, actually runs a 760mm bar, which isn't that wide by today's standards, where everyone's running like 800s.
Yeah.
So it's down to experimentation.
Yeah, so maybe if you're on a wide bar, you know, think about maybe going a little bit narrower. Could that fit you better? Could it make your bike feel more comfortable? Just changing your grip can make a massive difference. These particular grips come in different thicknesses, so just making that slight change is going to make a big difference to how the bike feels.
Okay, so next up is converting pedals. So if you're a flat pedal rider, you definitely want to consider learning how to ride clip pedals. Now there's a lot of advantages to riding this, just for being able to pedal more efficiently, pedal over roots and rough terrain. It's also really good for downhills to be a bit easier on your hands because you're taking that stress off. And also you can be a lot lighter on the bike, there's not quite as much going through the back wheel. However, in learning to ride clip pedals and mastering the action of those, you're going to suffer because you've got to commit to riding them. And well, we know some people are struggling with that at the moment.
Yeah, our man Tom there behind the camera. Hello Tom.
Hello.
Yeah, he's struggling with the move over at the moment actually. He's gone from his flats over to his clips. He's finding it slightly unnerving. But stick at it, dude. And now if you're on those clips already, now don't think you've got away with this scot-free, because you haven't. Because you can move over to flats and see what that does to your riding. It might make it feel really new and fresh, and it might make that trail that you're riding, you might see it in a totally different light, because you're going to be very loose on the bike. You might have to relearn some of your techniques. It's a really great way of making the bike feel fresh and new. Next up, it's changing your tyres. Now I love this one because this is your contact patch on the ground, and I really feel like it makes your bike feel brand new.
100%, and it really affects how you can ride your bike as well. Just looking at a different spread of tyres compared to the conditions that you ride in, and even how you ride. I mean, for example, I quite like a fast rolling tyre on the back and something a bit more chunky up front.
Yeah.
Enables me to get to the trails I want to ride pretty fast, and I've still got all the control I need for braking and cornering up front.
Yeah, and it just goes to show, like maybe you've got a tyre in your garage, like something like this, like a downhill tyre, is sort of like aggressive tyre. Maybe shove that on the front and see what difference that makes. It doesn't have to be both tyres, brand new set. Putting a new boot on really can change it. And there's so many out there. I've got one here that's obviously more suitable to a bit more loamy conditions. It's really going to make your trail that you're used to react really different to your riding.
And don't forget basic setup as well. If you're running with tyres that are too firm, you're going to have less traction. You know, if you're running tyres too soft, you're going to risk, you know, wallowing around in the turns, getting punctures and even splitting the casing. So it's a whole realm. Even with your existing tyres, you can play with that and get a much better feel out of the bike.
Yeah, that's a really good point actually. Changing your air pressure in your tyre, even if you haven't got those new tyres to put on, that can make it feel completely different. And it will teach you new things about your bike. Okay, the next step, this one is a minefield, especially when you're sat alongside Doddy, who's an expert in this. It's suspension. Now making some changes here, and there's a lot you can do, will make a dramatic difference to your bike. Doddy, what is the first basic step we can take to improving our suspension?
Well, suspension is a spring, basically, so it's suspending you. So get your sag set up right. So if your bike is run too soft, it's going to feel like a sponge. Too hard, it's going to feel really firm, and you're not going to be using that travel. So get your bike set up with the correct amount of sag. Varies between 25 and 30% of the available travel depending on the model of bike. So you'll have that in the manual, so check that out.
Well, that's not the only thing you can do either. I mean, obviously there's things like tokens you can put in or take out. There's lockouts, well, I guess just self-explanatory, but worth playing with. I mean, for instance, what is tokens going to do?
Well, tokens change their airspace within the fork. So if you're running tokens in the fork, forgetting how many for a minute, you're making the fork feel more progressive. So if you're into jumping and stuff and you want the foot to ramp up nicely, perfect. If you want a bit more comfort out of the bike, stick to the more linear feel of the spring with no tokens.
Yeah.
So you can experiment with that.
Yeah. Now, the most important thing to do with your suspension is to play with it. Try some of these things out because it is going to change the bike. Your suspension will come with base settings in the manuals. Look at those, ride it, and then think how that stuff is going to change and what you want the bike to do. There's a lot there to play with, but make sure you do because it's an amazing part of your bike.
And finally, let's just look at riding differently, approaching the way you ride.
Yeah.
Riding single speed or just using one gear on your bike is a good way to do that. So you may think that sounds a bit daft, but actually it's pretty useful because it teaches you correct cadence the whole time. You can't go too fast up a hill, you're in the same gear, and it also teaches you when you run out of gears, how to pump the terrain because you haven't got any gears left.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really deep subject actually because you've got to pick what that gear is. You've got to find kind of like the Goldilocks effect of chain for the trails that you ride. And it really is good fun. It can be very frustrating and it makes you look at your bike differently and sometimes you're riding. And there's other things you can do too. What about riding with no pedaling? Picking a trail and making a rule for yourself, you're not allowed to pedal, and see what that does to it. Go a bit Aaron Gwyn with it.
It is, it's quite a popular thing actually. Yeah. I know there's a race out of Whistler they do, a chainless one.
Chainless
racing.
They
take it off just to see how much flow they can get.
Yeah.
And obviously you can't pedal, so you're forced to like ride the corners better.
Yeah, creating these rules to ride in differently really can make a big difference. I mean, just of an idea here, Doddy, something that I've tried before, can be quite exciting. What about def grip? No braking. Now, I'm telling you, that is going to change the trail you ride.
Don't try that at home.
Yeah, maybe we'll leave that one alone. So hopefully there's some things there for you to try, get you thinking about your bike in a different way and making it feel really fresh and really new and exciting again if you've got a little bit stale with your riding. We talked about chainless riding, so why don't you take a look at our chain versus no chain video just here.
Yeah, and to get your bike set up a bit better for suspension and stuff, click right here.
And don't forget, click on the logo in the middle there to subscribe. You get a brand new video every day of the week. And while you're here, give us a thumbs up, like,